Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The Battlefield 6 Mid-Season 3 update drops this Tuesday, and like most Battlefield updates, the patch notes are absolutely massive. There are hundreds of changes covering weapons, vehicles, maps, UI, portal, battle royale, bug fixes, honestly enough that most people aren't going to read through all of it. So instead of covering every tiny adjustment, I want to do something a little different. If you're like me and mostly play after work or on the weekends, here's what I think actually matters. There are the changes that are likely to affect your matches and whether there's anything you should change before jumping into the game. So let's get started. The biggest change in this update isn't a specific gun getting buffed, it's the overall gunplay. DICE has changed how damage works across nearly every automatic weapon. Shots to the chest still deal full damage, but shots to the stomach, arms, and legs now deal less damage. So what does that actually mean? If your crosshair naturally sits around chest level, you probably won't notice much difference. But if you tend to spray and hit a lot of limb shots, you're probably going to lose a few more gunfights than you're used to. The good news is that the recoil has also become much more consistent across almost every weapon. So while accurate aim is going to matter more, your weapon should also feel more predictable during sustained fire. So ultimately, should you change anything? Not really. I wouldn't rush to replace your favorite weapon. I'd simply make a conscious effort to keep your aim centered around the upper chest instead of relying on body shots. Obviously, easier said than done. Another big change is bullet velocity. Almost every primary weapon now has slower bullet speeds and more bullet drop. If you're someone who enjoys sitting back with assault rifles, LMGs, or DMRs, expect moving targets to require a little bit more lead than before. This isn't a huge change at close range. Inside normal engagement distances, you probably won't even notice it, but once you start shooting across large open areas, you'll definitely have to adjust. So should you change anything? No, not really. Just expect your first few long engagements to feel different until your muscle memory catches up. Those of us who are big vehicle players are going to notice several important changes. The RPG has been buffed, making it more effective against both tanks and helicopters. Thermal smoke has been nerfed, meaning tanks won't be able to shrug off as much incoming damage. At the same time, infantry fighting vehicles received several buffs, while tanks were toned down slightly. The goal seems pretty clear. Vehicles should still feel powerful, but infantry should have more opportunities to fight back. And I like this change because I've been noticing playing Engineer has been way less effective when these tanks roll in. So should you change anything? If you normally ignore anti-vehicle gadgets, this might be a good update to start carrying an RPG once in a while. You'll probably get more value out of it than you were before. This next change is one that I'm particularly excited about. So DICE continues to improve the netcode. According to the patch notes, they've reduced delayed damage, improved hit registration, reduced rubber banding, and made those frustrating deaths behind cover happen less often. If you've ever run behind cover and somehow died a second later, hopefully that should happen less often after this update. This isn't something you'll see in a trailer or a marketing post, but if these improvements work as intended, every single match should simply feel better. So should you change anything? Nothing, just enjoy if it works. Honestly, this might end up being one of the most important changes in the entire update. I've been getting so frustrated dying behind cover from this really fast TTK and this netcode issue. And of course, there's also quite a bit of new content arriving. So the biggest addition is Tactical Obliteration returning to Battlefield. If you played previous Battlefield games, you probably already know this mode. Smaller teams, one bomb, lots of intense objective fights. There's also a new casual battle royale mode. This version includes additional AI players and shorter matches, making it a much easier entry point if you've been curious about Battlefield's battle royale, but haven't wanted to jump into full competitive lobbies. There's also the Wet Work event launching alongside the update, plus a new EOD bot arm melee weapon. And lastly, Battlefield 6 will be free to play from June 30th through July 6th, so if you got friends who haven't picked up the game yet, this is probably the perfect week to convince them to squad up. So now, my biggest takeaway is, if I had to narrow this update down to just a few things, here's what I'd remember before hopping into a match. Aim for the chest instead of relying on limb shots. Expect long-range weapons to need more bullet lead. Vehicles should be a little easier to deal with. And hopefully, thanks to the netcode improvements, the game should simply feel smoother overall. Everything else is nice to have, but those are probably the changes you're going to notice the most during your first few weeks. Those are my biggest takeaways, so now I'd love to hear what stands out to you the most. Let me know down in the comments what you're most excited to try, or if there's something in the patch notes you think I should have included. I'll be playing as soon as the update goes live, so expect more gameplay walkthroughs and guides covering how these changes actually feel in real matches. If you found this helpful, I'd appreciate a like, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for more Battlefield content aimed at regular players looking to improve. So thanks for watching, be sure to spread some positivity, and I'll see you in the next one.